Okay guys, today we're going to be making some salve for the winter time. For those of you who do not know what salve is, it is, well, kind of like lotion, only thicker. It's kind of in between lotion and lip balm. Some people also call it balm as well. It's basically you just put a little bit less wax in it than you would lip balm, and it's also, in a bigger container so that you can rub it on your hands or wherever. Generally, I make this for my friends and family during the holiday season because right around this time of year, everybody's hands get dried and cracked. And so just as, a nice thing to do, I thought it would be great this year to make some for my volunteers. In case you guys don't know, I have volunteers that help me work at the thrift store, and without them, I don't know what we would do. So in order to show my appreciation, every once in a while, I try to give them something. In particular, I try to give them something on Christmas, or the Christmas season. And yeah, just to let them know that we love them and we care about them and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I'm pretty sure you guys might be interested in learning how to make this. Whether you live in a van or not, it's going to be the same thing. I just figure since, I do live in a van, there's a few caveats that I'm going to have to be, demonstrating just because my kitchen is so small and things like that. So I thought maybe to give you guys some ideas, this video might help you, whether you're living in a tiny house or a van or even a big house. Hopefully some of these skills will be useful to you. And whatever recipe you guys choose to use, it's always going to be the same procedure when you're making salve. As far as I'm concerned, I've had different recipes over the years. The one that I'm going to be using now is the one that I like the best. It's the one I've memorized. I don't really have to even measure stuff anymore. I've been making stuff like this for so long that I can even eyeball stuff. But you're probably going to want to measure your ingredients out, and generally you're going to be doing basically two parts fat to 1 part waxy stuff, whether it's beeswax or paraffin or whatever. I do not recommend using paraffin, but if that's all you have, then it will work. But always, if you can afford it and find it and have access to it, use beeswax in any kind of balm that you make. It's not that necessary to put beeswax in it, but it does help keep it kind of at a harder consistency, and it also helps to preserve it a little bit better. It helps to last longer because balm is not something that people want to refrigerate or anything like that. So, yeah, and especially if you're going to be using olive oil for your fat, and you're gonna want some wax. I generally like to use animal fats and any type of saturated fat that I can get. In this case today, we're going to be using shea butter, which is a very, very nice plant-based fat. And the reason being is because my volunteers and my family are not carnivores, and they are not used to just having straight up regular old-fashioned tallow-based salves like I am. So when I do this for gifts, and or if I'm going to possibly sell it, I've sold things like this in the past. I always do add a little bit of shea butter or coconut oil or something of that nature to it, just because, or even olive oil, just because, like I say, people are more accustomed to that. And we will be adding some herbal ingredients and things like that as well. So it's not totally carnivore. So all you carnivore gypsies out there, if you just want this to be straight up pure animal products, just don't put the shea butter and the herbs and the essential oils in, and it's going to still be a really kick butt salve for you, and it's going to moisturize and do all the really good things, because most of the nutrients that are in this thing and most of the moisturizers that are in my recipe do come from the animal products. So really the plant stuff is just a little bit of an extra bonus. And if you really want it to smell good and that kind of thing like that, you do add the herbs and the essential oils. But other than that, if you don't care for that, if you don't want all that kind of stuff in there, you don't have to put it in. And same holds true for the animal products. If you do not choose to put, you know, tallow and lanolin in this recipe, it's still going to work just as fine. Just make sure that you compensate for whatever you take out. So remember, it's always at least 2 parts fat to 1 part waxy substance. Otherwise, you know, it'll work, but it's going to be, you know, not the consistency that I like anyway. And like I say, it won't be quite as shelf stable. So, all right, guys, let's get to it. Okay, you guys, as you can see, my little kitchen area is full of stuff. Oh my gosh. Look at that. And this is all stuff for salve, okay? One of the most important things, though, I wanted to show you before we get started is your double boiler. For those of you who do not know what a double boiler is, you can buy one that's made just for that, but simply a double boiler is 2 nesting pots, one bigger than the other, of course. And the bigger one on the bottom has water in it. I don't know if you can see that. There's water in there. And the top one is where you're going to be placing your items to be melted. And this works for making salve, it works for making candy, it works for making candles, whatever you need to melt. You know, just chocolate, whatever, it doesn't matter, butter. It's just best to have a double boiler. It keeps this stuff that you're melting from burning, basically, and it also keeps it warm if you don't need to be putting it in whatever you're putting it in right away. Or if you're basting something, you know, the water will keep it warm, and you can just, you know, light it back up and heat it up again, and it's not going to disturb this too much. And another important thing is to have some type of thermometer. I did go to my storage unit and dig out my candy thermometer. This is the best thing ever for making soaps and salves and candies and whatever else. It goes up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, so you can be rest assured that you're, you know, knowing what your temperature of something is. The trouble with it, though, is if it's below 100 degrees, you really don't know what's going on, but for our purposes here, that's okay. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. It's just kind of for a safety thing, because some things, you know, like this lanolin, you know, their melting point is probably, you know, pretty high, 150 degrees Celsius, whatever that is. That's probably a couple hundred degrees, I don't know. So yeah, just for that. And then of course we've got the, you know, the shea butter and the beeswax and the beef tallow, and here's my calendula flowers and my little strainer with a funnel on it. So yeah, I'll be showing you guys all this stuff here in a few minutes. All right, hang tight. Oh, little doggy. Hey doggy, you want to help me make salve? What are you eating, doggy? He doesn't even know I'm here. Hi, puppy dog. What you doing? You want to help me? I guess not. I just have to show you guys this. Isn't this gorgeous? Some of the best fat I've ever seen. I love beef tallow. It's just so beautiful and fluffy and has a little bit of a waxy texture to it. So it's perfect for salves and soaps and things like that. Just an FYI to you guys, if you've never used it before, give it a try. If you're not liking the animal product thing, that's you know, the next best closest thing you could get is shea butter and coconut oil. But yeah, this thing, oh, I love this. And this is the kind of beef tallow that I'm using today. But yeah, I just wanted to show that to you guys. It's just gorgeous. I love it. Look what it looks like in my little pot. It's beautiful. Okay, guys, I just wanted to show you the shea butter too. This is some of the best shea butter I think I've ever gotten. Yeah, I usually get pretty good shea butter when I do this. This stuff is really nice, and it actually smells wonderful. Usually it's got kind of a little bit of a stinky smell to it, even when it's really nice and good. But this stuff, it really, yeah, it smells good. It's almost smells good enough to eat. And one of the good things too that about shea butter is it's a lot like tallow in that it's very stable at room temperatures, and it's a very hard fat. And unless it comes in a tub, you're probably going to want to have to do what I'm going to do here and put it on your cutting board and then just cut pieces of it off that you need. So I'm going to cut it right about there. See, it's really stiff. It's hard for me to get my knife in there. Oh my gosh. There we go. Yeah, just slice it off like that, and then you can put it in your pot, and you'll be ready to go. Okay, you guys, so now I just put it all on to boil, and as you can see, it's kind of overflowing on top, so I'm gonna have to let it melt a little while before I could put any more ingredients in it. But so far I have my 2 cups of beef tallow, my 2 cups of shea butter, 1 cup of lanolin, and 1 cup of beeswax in there. And that's gonna be it until it boils down a little bit, and then we'll add the rest of the ingredients. Okay, as you guys can see, it's starting to melt pretty fast. Once the water starts boiling, it really starts going in there. So that ought to show you the importance of a double boiler, because if you just put this on the open flame, it might do some damage. It might start smoking and doing all kinds of bad things you don't want it to do. But now is the perfect time to put in the calendula flowers. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to put in just a handful, a big handful. And as you can see, they're pretty much whole flowers. You can see like the bottom part of the flower right there. That's very important. You don't want crushed herbs in your salves. It's just a nightmare to try to get back out once again. And also, you know, you get the best bang for your buck out of your plants if you don't squish them. You got to really try to preserve every leaf, every stem, you know, to get the most out of them as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, just a little handful is probably okay. You can put more. I might put a little bit more in there. I think that'll probably be really good. Calendula is supposed to be very good for your skin, very medicinal, very anti-inflammatory, very nourishing. So this should help with all the other good ingredients we have in here. But yeah, you can put it all in at once if your pot's big enough, but my little tiny kitchen, I don't have a pot big enough. So yeah. But yeah, just let them just kind of melt down in there with the rest of the stuff and cook it on in. Okay, so after you've let it cook completely and melt and stirred it around for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then the last thing that you do is you put in your essential oils. You don't want to put your essential oils in while you're boiling and cooking it, because it could damage them and dissipate them. So anytime you're making candles or soap or anything like that, just remember the last ingredient that goes in is your essential oil. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of this cedar oil, and I'm going to be very generous with it. I'm going to put like, you know, a couple of vialfuls like this in there, because this is a big batch of salve, and you want it to smell really good, and you want to get those good medicinal properties in there from the plants that you're using. And like I always say too, I do believe that plants are medicine. I just, for myself and others that I know, they're not a staple in our diet. They are just medicine. So in this case, you know, cedar helps with all kinds of skin ailments and things like that. So it's very good to have cedar oil in there. And then the next one I like to put in is some sandalwood. And you don't even really need that much sandalwood. Just probably, I don't know, 20 or so drops, or maybe a little bit more, but not too much, if it'll come out. I don't even know if you guys can see that. Some of these bottles are kind of a pain. It's better to buy them in bulk, but I've never found a good deal on sandalwood. So yeah, well, it's not coming out, but you guys get the gist. So yeah, just make sure that you add your essential oils last, so that you do not damage them. Finally got a little drip to come out. And last but not least, you want to put in some vitamin E oil. And I like to put in quite a bit for obvious reasons, but also because vitamin E preserves things. It's an antioxidant, so in case people don't use this right away, it's not going to go bad on them. It probably wouldn't anyway because of the beeswax and the beef tallow, but just in case, we want to put some vitamin E oil in there. And I like to get this one. I don't even know where to get it anymore. It's lasted me for so long, but it's you could put quite a bit in there, or a little bit, your choice. Even just a tiny bit helps. So there we go. All right. Okay, and then after you get all of that good stuff in there, you just want to give it a little bit of a stir. Make sure it gets all diffused all inside of there. Get it all good and mixed up. Smells really good. This is making the van smell awesome. Okay, so here comes the part where you kind of got to be careful. First of all, I'm going to try, well, let's see here. I'm going to try to just pour it in. If that doesn't work, then I will use my trusty ladle over here. But you want to make sure you wipe the water off of the bottom of the pot so you don't get water dripping everywhere where you don't want it, making a big mess. That's always nice. And the cool thing about these pots is too, I don't really need a pot holder per se, because they just, you know, they don't get hot over there. They're designed for camping. So this would probably be more ideal if I had a spout, but just very carefully pour it in there and make sure, you know, you have a funnel or something with a strainer on it. And that's basically all you do. You just go along and fill up your little jars. And it's going to be messy, so I recommend doing what I did and just leave the jars in their little cardboard if they come with it, depending on what you use. And then there you go. You just keep going until you get them all filled up. Okay, everybody, as you can see, the first batch is starting to set up and it's looking pretty good. I've got the next batch going here. It'll probably take overnight before it's completely set up and hard. That's another reason why I like to make salve in the fall and the winter, because in the summertime it's just it's kind of difficult to get it to do what you need it to do. So what you do is you just make enough for the whole year or whatever, and yeah, and by the time it's time to make salve again, you're already out. So but that's how I do it. It's probably a very traditional way. I don't know, you guys, if you live in houses with air conditioning, then you could probably do something better. But for me, I don't live with those kind of conveniences. Haven't very much in my entire life. And so I'm just used to doing things a certain way. Okay, guys, so there you go. There's my lesson on how to make salve. Like I say, you can use any recipe that you like. You don't have to use mine. Like I say though, rule of thumb is it's usually 2 parts fat to 1 part wax. And the lanolin just kind of goes wherever it wants, which means, you know, even if I put 1 part wax, I can still put 1 part lanolin and it turns out just fine. If you guys are a purist, you can do, half a cup of beeswax and half a cup of lanolin just to keep it, pure. But like I say, I've not had any complaints and or any problems making it this way. If you're choosing to make lip balm, you're gonna have to cut the recipe down pretty far, because they're like little teeny tiny little things, unless you're just making like a whole crap ton of them. But yeah, it's generally like 1-to-1, so you have 1 part wax to 1 part fat. And you could probably even up the wax even further on something like lip balm, especially if you're going to be putting it in tubes. But yeah, just get some recipes out there and just start cooking. Yeah, the best thing to do is just to make sure you have a double boiler, and if there's any temperature sensitive stuff, make sure you got a good candy thermometer or deep fry thermometer or something like that. And yeah, just go to town, you guys. And they're great little gifts. People love them. They're easy to make. You can make them right here in your van or your motorhome or whatever you have, and hand them out to all your peeps. And yeah, it's great. So yeah, I got to get back to cooking my next batch here. But yeah, hopefully this helps you guys out. And just remember, if you want to make salve or balm, it's just 2 parts fat to 1 part wax usually, and then you can add all your beautiful ingredients like your calendula or your comfrey or whatever else you want to put in there. Okay, guys, well, yeah, I guess this is it. I guess I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one. Bye.